Does wedding planning have you feel like you are losing your mind? Girl, all former brides have been there. You are not alone. But let me help you avoid the crazy house and plan a superstar wedding. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, LaVie With Nee. October is here, y'all, and in a few short weeks, I will be celebrating my 1 year wedding anniversary. And to give homage to such a beautiful time in my life, I decided to create a 4-part wedding series where I give my advice, give tips, share all my woulda, coulda, shouldas with all my soon-to-be brides. My name is Nee, by the way. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the red subscribe button. Also, ring the notification bell so you don't miss a video in this series. I am not a wedding planner by any means, so this is not going to be a step-by-step guide. I'm just a former bride who went through the trenches. I came out on top, okay? I've been there, I've done that, and I'm here to help you navigate this journey so you can feel more confident and prepared. So take a deep breath, woosah, do all the things, and let's get into part 1 of this series, the plan before you plan. All right, so first things first, you and your significant other, you and your future spouse are the main characters in this wedding. Quite literally, this event, this wedding, would not be happening if it weren't for you guys. So you guys have to be a united front and do this thing together. This is like the first of very of a lot of decisions that you guys are going to make, and you have to make them together. So let's have a great opening chapter to y'all's life story. Because if y'all are not a united front, they can smell the fear, y'all. They can smell it. They know when you don't know. So as long as you guys know exactly what it is you want, exactly what it is you want to do, then it's so much harder, so much more difficult for people to kind of intercede and impede on that. So, with that being said, you and your future spouse have to come together and define your vision. You guys have to lay out, make a roadmap of what you want your wedding to look like. Well, like, what's the vibe? Do you want it to be romantic? Do you want it to be ratchet? Are you more on the formal side? Are y'all casual? Like, what is it? What family traditions do you want to include? Like, what is it that you foresee in y'all's wedding? I would say make it a date night. Make it do something cute. Turn on some nice music, light some candles, drink a little wine, some sparkling apple juice, grape juice if you're not into the alcohol, and just sit down and romanticize about your day. Now, it's not going to all happen in one night. This is a series. You have to work on it multiple times. And the first draft is not by any means going to look like the final draft. So take your time, really enjoy it. Use that time to kind of bond and just spend the time together planning the first day of the rest of y'all's life. So when people give you stuff or try to impede on you, you can say, "Hey, me and well, Justin's my husband's name, so I want to use him. Hey, me and Justin have already decided. We've already talked about this, and this is kind of where we're leaning." Or if you don't know and somebody does give you something that you didn't consider, oh my gosh, that was such a great idea. Let me bring it back to my man and we're going to discuss it and come up with a plan from there. Go ahead and set the boundaries at the beginning. Have those difficult conversations first thing so you can avoid all the unnecessary beef as the wedding planning goes on. But you and your future spouse need to define that. Y'all need to outline that. What it is and how much you want your family and what roles you want your family to play as you're going throughout the wedding process. For me, I just wanted my family to be able to sit back and not have their hands on so much stuff because when they're overly involved, then they miss out on spending the special moments with me, and that's just something that I personally didn't want. And it's okay if the role you want your family to play is different from the role that they want to play. They're going to get emotional, they're going to get very self-centered and all those things. Let them have that. Let them feel those emotions. Don't, those emotions are valid. They're entitled to feel that way. Let them get it out. And then after that, say, "Hey, I appreciate you for loving me this much that you wanted to play a bigger role, but this is where we are. So let's kind of wipe the tears and let's plan a wedding and get me married, okay? We got bigger fish to fry. We got more things we got to do, okay? So let's wipe the tears. This is what it is." All right, if you have overly involved family that is just insistent on helping you with things, you don't want to be like, let's not be rude. We're not going to be rude. We're not going to be catty. We're not going to be bridal. We're going to be laid back. We're going to be chill, okay? But we're also going to be assertive. The best thing that you can do is give them small tasks. Like, let them be in charge of things that you don't feel like you really need your hand on. So, I know nothing about flowers. So, if I wanted to give a family member a smaller task, I would say, hey, do you mind finding maybe like two or three florists? Tell them I want two boutonnieres, two bridesmaids bouquet, and the bride's bouquet. And this is kind of what I want them to look like. Send them some pictures that you found on Pinterest or online, and just say, hey, can you give them a phone number? Or if you want to, can you go ahead and get me a quote? So then that way, when they come back to you, oh, and give them a deadline too. Make sure you have a deadline. So when they come back to you by that deadline, it's easy peasy for you to just say, oh, okay, this florist falls more into what I'm looking for, or this florist is more affordable, and we're gonna go with that. And that's one big task that you avoided, you didn't have to do, and somebody was able to take care of. Now, if you're a flower person and you know about flowers, go ahead, put your hand on it, and have total control. Me, I don't know nothing about flowers. My bouquet could have been filled with weeds, and I wouldn't have known the difference. So, hey. But I mean, it goes back to anything like, hey, can you get the numbers to a caterer? Or, hey, can you get the number to a band? Give me a list and things like that. Guest list, my mom did my guest list for me because I can't think of all my cousins. At the end of the day, the final decision is going to lie with you. So if somebody can give you a list of things to help you make that decision smaller, then that just works out great. How do we tackle the family that gives us money, but there are certain contingencies on the money that's given, on the contributions that are given? Because let's face it, we all love monetary contributions. Well, that's really subjective. Some people give money and say, "Hey, since I'm paying for this band, you have to use the band that I say. Hey, since I'm paying for this caterer, you have to use the caterer that I pick." Is it unreasonable? Is it something that you can handle? Then cool, go with it. But if it's something that takes away from you and your spouse's vision, then I would really sit down and think about it. How does your spouse feel, your future spouse feel about this? That's something that you two need to come together and decide on how you feel about the situation. If you're like, hey, I really don't want that band, then go to that person, that family member. Hey, thank you for the contribution, but we would much rather have this band as it reflects more on our relationship and who we are as a couple. Hopefully they're like, okay, cool, I'm cool with that. That is what you want. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We avoided that situation. However, there are some people who are like, no, they're insistent. They're like, no, you gonna use my band. And with that, I say just give the money back. Save yourself the stress. And this is not just for bands. I'm using bands as an example, but just give the money back. And God will provide whatever you need. And if He don't provide it, you don't need it. Okay? There's a lot of things in my wedding whenever I was planning that I thought that I absolutely needed. And now looking back a year later, there's not one thing that we didn't get that I thought that I needed in the time that I missed. But I can even remember what it was, honestly. I really can't remember. Hopefully they understand, and if they don't, then, really that's not a you problem, that's a them problem. And you have to get back to what it is that you're doing and focus on the big picture, which is planning this wedding and marrying your future spouse. And with that, we always want to be respectful in how we talk to people. We always want to let the people know that we appreciate them, and a thank you goes a long way because brides get a lot of flack for being like bridezillas. And I mean, I could definitely see how that could happen, but I've always just said that people have real life going on outside of the wedding, and the wedding is important to me and my husband, not necessarily to everybody else. So I always extend like a very long string, I always extend grace to everybody that I encountered when I was planning my wedding. We don't have to be rude. We don't have to be I mean, sometimes you might have to. You might have to slide to the left and give them a little something, something. But let's not revert to that as the first thing. Let's try to keep it cute, keep it very, very cute, and say, talk to people like adults. And then if that doesn't work, then we slide over to the right, okay? See how that works. We first, step one, even to step two. Then on step three, we stepping, okay? All right, getting organized. My dad says you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's exactly what this is. Stay organized so you don't have to get organized. And if you start off on a good foot, you're going to end on a good foot. So we need to start organized. We need to get organized as like number one. I personally think that you can get by with a binder, some paper, a couple spreadsheets, this, that, and the other. Let me break it down. Editing Nee is here, and I'm showing you guys my wedding folder. I haven't seen this thing in a year, and there's a lot of stuff that's missing, but here we go. This is the wedding folder by The Knot, and it's really cute. I'll show it to you. My husband actually got this for me when we first got engaged, and it has a lot of great information. However, I didn't use it because it's just kind of like an informational piece. It does have like your wedding list that tells you what you should be doing so many months out of your wedding, and this is like the page that I was like, oh yeah, this is very helpful. But they also have this feature on their app. Their app was great. I loved having this list. They also provided vendors in your area. You could put in your area code and they would show like a list of all the different vendors and things like that. And it's also what I used as our free wedding website. But the folder in general, I really didn't use. What I did use was this. I love these clear sheets right here. Put my contracts, put my receipts in, and it worked out great. I should have had one sheet for every vendor, but you know what? The wedding's done and over with, and we married now. This folder right here is just a folder that I had because there was no pockets in the front, and I could just slide things in there as they came to me. And you also need some paper, so as people are talking to you, especially vendors and things like that, you can just write down what everybody's telling you, and you can have it all in one central location. You also need a calendar. This is actually our menu calendar, but I just printed this off online just to kind of show you guys, get you a calendar. You can punch holes in it or staple it like I do and just keep it so you can have everything in like a month's glance that you need. 100% get you a spreadsheet, vendor, contract, price, paid, additional information like their phone number, their email, the contact person, etc., etc. You need one of these, 100%. You also may or may not need a gift list. My bridesmaids actually kept up with all my gifts and things like that, but I printed this out just so I could show you guys the name, address, what they gave you, and if you sent a thank you card. So all in one spot. And that is pretty much it. Reminders on your phone, daily to-do lists are great, and that is pretty much it, y'all. This is not something that I did, but I do wish that I would have done, is create a separate email, like your own wedding email address. Because I have like 100,000 emails that are unanswered. Hey, no judgment, don't judge me. And so I really wish that I would have had a separate email account that was for all of our wedding stuff and wedding stuff only. It's just something that's small that just makes things a whole lot easier. And if you want to, just always CC like your personal email into whatever you send, so that way you have two places to kind of keep track of everything and all the conversations that you're having. With that, I'll also add, if this is something that you want to do, is to also get a wedding bank account, like a joint bank account with you and your significant other. If that's something that y'all want to do, this is the account that is going to be for wedding and wedding only. We created an account, a separate account, so then that way, like my mother-in-law, my mom, my dad, or whoever that wanted to give money, they could just put that in the account and it didn't get mixed in with our personal funds. All right, y'all, that's it. That's all I have for part 1 of my wedding planning series. Hopefully today's video has brought you a sense of comfort, allowed you to take just a big old sigh of relief. Wedding planning will eat you up if you let it, but I refuse to let any of my subscribers or anybody that has come across this video get ate up. So drop down in the comments. Drop down in the comments, let me know what has you the most stressed, what has you the most freaked out when it comes to wedding planning. Let me help you. Also, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe now, and don't forget to tell somebody, to tell somebody, to tell somebody else to come on over to enjoy LaVie with Nee. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
Yeah, yeah, yeah.